0 boom. Violent origin cheese howled, stirring the space and causing it to vibrate. Xiao Yan was covered in blood and his hair was messy. There were countless wounds on his body, and golden origin energy circulated throughout his body. The situation was circulating rapidly, and as the wounds healed, he was also constantly strengthening himself. Back then, Su Chuya wanted to master the situation skill as soon as possible. He entered the depths of the northern Kang Mountains and risked his life. He had strengthened the situation in the line of life and death. Now, Xiao Yan, although he hadn't reached that level yet, he was still increasing the power of the situation bit by bit. Ling Long's expression was ice-cold. There seemed to be ice and snow solidifying between his brows. His entire body was similarly dyed with blood. Golden light enveloped his entire body. Under the protection of the Great Sun Phoenix technique, an unceasing flow of origin cheese surged into his body, healing his wounds. However, compared to the situation, it was clearly much slower. A cold glint overflowed from his eyes. Ling Longzi looked at Xiao Yan and suddenly laughed coldly. The time limit of the secret arts has expired. Will you feel very uncomfortable? Xiao Yan shook his neck, and a sense of weakness rose from his body. It was just as Ling Longzi had said, although the heavenly monarch fire-burning body was becoming more and more proficient with each passing day, and the amount of origin cheese consumed was also greatly reduced, it was limited to the level of the burning spell. After fighting for such a long time, he still felt somewhat uncomfortable. Jade Fairy, watch carefully. Seeing that Xiao Yan did not speak, Ling Long's eyes darkened. He looked at Jade Fairy in the distance, the corner of his mouth slightly raised, but there was a trace of bitterness in his eyes. Great Sun Heavenly Skill. His finger lightly tapped his forehead and Ling Longzi slowly opened his mouth to speak. The Great Yang Heavenly Skill was a secret technique that ranked first on the Yang Scroll. In the name of the heavens, it was a supreme technique that suppressed the heavens and the earth. Boom! As his voice fell, the heavens and the earth seemed to have sensed something. 100,000 feet bright light erupted from Ling Long's body, as if it was connected to the heavens and earth. His feet stepped on the huge, Yang character. Countless rainbow lights spread out from all directions, completely wrapping around Ling Longzi. In an instant, the charm of the world was concentrated on the latter's body. What is Ling Longzi doing? How can he use the Great Yang Heavenly Skill so easily? An unparalleled aura was surging crazily. Lu Junyuan's face turned ashen. Although this secret skill was extremely powerful, it had the effect of killing 1,000 people and injuring 800 people. Even when it came to the battle between the saints, he had never thought of letting Ling Longzi use the Great Sun Heavenly Skill. But now, this guy seemed to have gone crazy, and he didn't care about it at all. Great Yang Heavenly Skill. Jade Fairy's face was filled with shock. Then, she let out a miserable laugh. The strength of Ling Long's opponent had far exceeded her imagination. She hadn't mastered the Great Yin Heavenly Skill yet, but she had already used the former skillfully. This gap was not something that could be reflected by just a little bit. The Heavenly Gon sect is going to prosper. The surrounding experts discussed amongst themselves. They had witnessed Ling Long's strength with their own eyes. The strength that he displayed was not weaker than anyone else's. This feeling. Xiao Yan's brows trembled slightly when he sensed the fluctuation in the space. Spiritual strength flowed out in all directions, but it seemed to have come into contact with an invisible barrier. The golden light was like an indestructible defense, and it actually resisted the erosion of the soul force. Holy arts. Lowering his eyes, Xiao Yan muttered to himself. The Yin-Yang Sacred Lord had shaken the past and the present. The Great Yang Heavenly Skill was the #1 secret arts in the Yang Scroll, and at the same time, it ensured the safety of the caster to the greatest extent. At this time, Ling Longzi could use the secret technique without any worries. Xiao Yan, use that fire lotus. The voice of the Xiao Ao sounded in Xiao Yan's mind, and there was a hint of panic in its tone. If he wanted to block Ling Long's killing move, he could only use the Monarch Flame. Even the strongest defense of the profound martial arts was useless. Fire Lotus. A thought flashed across Xiao Yan's mind like lightning. His expression became serious as if he had just recalled something. His 5 fingers moved slightly and a pitch-black flame quietly spread out. It turned into tiny dots of flame and quickly merged into the air. It turned into thousands of long arcs and rushed into Ling Long's light. Have a taste of this. Xiao Yan's heart skipped a beat, but his expression remained solemn. He didn't know if this sudden idea would work. As for the fire lotus, in front of so many people, he had to consider everything that was happening behind him. In the face of Ling Longzi, with his current abilities, if Lu Junyuan and the others attacked, he really wouldn't be able to defeat them. And the outcome of both sides suffering losses was something that Xiao Yan couldn't accept. He raised his head and looked over. The sky was filled with light. Endless origin qis poured into Ling Longzi's body below. Ling Longzi gently tapped his forehead with his finger. All the origin qis in the sky surrendered to him. He was like a peerless king. Wherever his aura reached, the heavens would submit to him. Xiao Yan, leave quickly. His opponent is me. Inside the cage, Jade Fairy spoke in a heart-wrenching manner. At this moment, even monarch cultivation seemed so tiny in front of Ling Longzi. This strike would definitely shake the heavens and shake the earth. A terrifying qi roared like a furious dragon. At the same time, Xiao Yan stood up and welcomed the attack. He had the prestige power spell, and this frightening qi had no effect on him. He flipped his palm, and the blue flame ruler was tightly held in his hand. The surface of the ruler was glowing, and the crimson gold flame was circulating like water, causing ripples to appear on the surface of the ruler. Jade Fairy's voice was heard by his ear. Xiao Yan smiled lightly and turned his back to the ladder without saying anything. He looked at Ling Longzi. The latter's aura had also reached a peak at this moment. Long time no see. Xiao Yan casually waved the blue flame ruler and the sound of air being torn could be heard. He sighed with emotion. Ever since he came to Mingan Divine Domain, the chances of him using the blue flame ruler had become much smaller. This time, he would let the people of the world see how graceful he was. Su! A purple flame flowed through the void and entered the blue flame ruler the moment it was waved. Without waiting for Xiao Yan to speak, the voice of the Xiao Ao could be heard. Xiao Yan, don't forget about me. Are you still going to attack? Looking at the blue flame ruler, Xiao Yan mumbled to himself. The Xiao Ao could also control his monarch flame, so it could naturally transform into flames and enter the blue flame ruler. Don't worry, I'm just trying to prevent the blue flame ruler from breaking. As for how to fight Ling Longzi, that's your problem. Seemingly seeing through Xiao Yan's thoughts, the Xiao Ao chuckled lightly. In the end, the blue flame ruler was only a mid-grade heavenly weapon. It was far from enough to deal with the great sun heavenly skill that was comparable to the holy arts. Alright, don't worry. Xiao Yan lifted his head. The brilliance on Ling Longzi's body had also been withdrawn. His eyes were scarlet golden and seemed to contain an unparalleled strength. When he gently tapped the tip of his finger on his forehead, there was even a faint origin qi whistling. There was even a crack in the space around his fingertip. This kind of power that resonated with the heavens and the earth was completely concentrated at a single point. Even the Heaven Divine Mountain was unable to suppress it. Rumble! The golden origin qi within his body whistled like a wild wave. The situation was circulated wildly. An excited thought surged into his mind. Xiao Yan held the blue flame ruler with one hand and all the strength in his body struck a spot. At this moment, any monarch skill was useless. Only true strength possessed an overwhelming strength. Kai! Ling Longzi was expressionless as he lightly pointed his finger. In an instant, it was as if the heavens and the earth had collapsed. Boundless space started shrinking. Layers upon layers of pressure were pressing down on Xiao Yan. The huge, Yang character under his feet seemed to be emitting a dazzling light, like a dazzling sun. The millstone came crashing down, and at this moment, the entire world seemed to be smashing towards Xiao Yan, making him the enemy of the heavens and earth. Clang! Xiao Yan raised his head and let out a long roar. The blue flame ruler spread out in all directions, and in the sky, 3 different colored monarch flames transformed into 3 huge flood dragons. The flood dragons roared, and golden blood splashed into the sky. They were about to shatter the heaven and earth. If you can escape, I'll kill myself. Ling Longzi's voice seemed to come from the deepest depths of hell, and it was bone-chilling. Suddenly, it rang in Xiao Yan's ears, and it carried an incomparable killing intent. At this moment, he was the heavens. One Kai. At the top of the huge mountain, Ling Longzi stood on the word, Yang. The tip of his finger seemed to crush the endless space in front of him. Layers upon layers of turbulent flows howled, as if the sky had been covered up by them. It completely wrapped around Xiao Yan, causing the origin chi to wreak havoc in the sky. Each turbulent current was enough to kill an ordinary emperor cultivation. Blood trickled down the corner of Ling Long's mouth. His eyes were filled with blood and chi. This attack, he had used all of his energy. Boom! The yang under his feet suddenly surged with a golden glow. The golden glow was filled with a fiery red color. The glow whistled upwards and surged into Ling Long's body. The injuries on the latter's body seemed to have swiftly healed. His strength had suddenly soared. In an instant, he was already comparable to a monarch cultivation sovereign. He has communicated with the yang character. This brat is actually this frightening. Chang Yi's expression changed slightly in the distance. He was even more shocked than when Ling Longzi had used the great yang heavenly skill earlier. What exactly is he doing? The Battle of the Saints has become a complete mess. Mrs. Huang stood at the side with an ashen face. However, she didn't dare to interfere when faced with Ling Long's attack. Chang Yi remained silent with a gloomy face. Ling Long's talent and strength were too powerful. Throughout all these years, whether it was the Heavenly Sky sect or the Deacon sect, none of them had been able to communicate with the word yin and yang. In this way, in the next 1,000 years, the Heavenly Sky sect would definitely suppress the Deacon sect. An unexpected harvest. On the Heavenly Gan sect's side, Lu Junyuan's eyes lit up. He was overjoyed and did not have much hatred towards Xiaoyan and Jade Fairy. If it wasn't for these two, how could he have known that Ling Long's potential had already reached such a level? He even saw the ancestors of the Hushin sect coming back to life in Heaven Divine Mountain after 1,000 years. They had brought the Heavenly Gan sect back to the glory of the era of the sacred Lord Yin Yang. Yang! The word radiated a brilliant light that enveloped the entire mountain, isolating everyone from the scene. The dazzling light circulated, and even the monarch cultivation sovereign was unable to tell what was happening. Wu! Xiaoyan's body suddenly sank, and it seemed as if his entire body was trembling. Countless turbulent flows roared as they descended from the sky, bombarding the blue flame ruler without stopping. The yin-yang fusion origin chi in his body crazily surged. It was actually only able to keep up with the blue flame ruler. The great yang heavenly skill, in the name of the heavens, was proficient in yin and yang, and could suppress the heavens and earth. It had developed from the hands of sacred Lord Yin and Yang to the extreme. No matter which era it was in, this technique was one of the strongest secret arts techniques in the Heaven Divine Mountain, and with the help of the word Yang in the Heaven Divine Mountain, it was able to suppress the heavens and the earth. It was even able to display such a terrifying technique to the extreme. Buzz! The 3 types of monarch flames gathered on the ruler's body. Within the crimson gold flames, a bewitching blue wave surged. It seemed to possess the ability to neutralize countless attacks. Numerous chaotic flows were being eroded by the combined strength of the 3 types of monarch flames. Sacred Lord Yin Yang was extraordinary and had comprehended the Yin and Yang scroll. Among them, the Great Yang Heavenly Skill and Great Yin Heavenly Skill were the unique secret arts. In the name of the heavens, they were the best in the world. However, the monarch flame was born from the heavens and the earth. It was one of the true sacred items. Even though it was only a part of it, it still had an effect that ordinary items could not match. One was created by the Supreme Being who intimidated an entire era after the chaos of the Gu Wu, and the other was born to report to the heavens and earth. Both of them were extraordinary, like heavenly thunder and earth fire. In an instant, they struck out with the most dazzling brilliance. It was as if a moment had passed, but also as if it had passed through eternity. Xiaoyan stood on the ground, and the tremendous pressure was endless. Both of his legs had already sunk into the rock, and the origin chi in his body had almost dried up. The after effects of using the heavenly monarch fire-burning body had also spread to his entire body. Damn it! Sensing the empty feeling coming from his body, Xiaoyan couldn't help but curse in a low voice. He raised his head and looked at the sky. It seemed as if the sky was filled with rays of light that kept crashing down. The blue flame ruler was like a barrier that pierced through the sky, resisting with all its might. All-embracing nether flame, let's see how effective you are. After making up his mind, Xiaoyan did not dare to hesitate. He activated the few remaining origin chis in his body and gathered all of them in his palm. The palm that held the blue flame ruler trembled slightly. 3 monarch flames circled above it and were about to launch their final attack. Ling Longzi's body was bathed in a golden light outside of the light. Most of his injuries had already recovered. His expression was indifferent. His finger pressed gently on the space, urging the strength of the world to continuously crush Xiao Yan. The latter's aura was also gradually dissipating. Soon, it had reached a faintly discernible stage. Ling Longzi. Suddenly, a cold and furious cry sounded. Jade Fairy's phoenix eyes were wide open in the distance. A trace of shocking fresh blood flowed out from her smooth forehead. She had already escaped from the cage that Ling Longzi had used. "You are bleeding." Ling Longzi's body trembled when he saw the blood on Jade Fairy's forehead. He subconsciously said, "Your opponent is me. Kill me and let him go." Yang. The light from the words formed a barrier that isolated everyone. Ling Longzi and the other two were the only ones in the light screen. Layers of light covered the entire mountain, preventing even the soul energy from prying into it. Jade Fairy's expression was calm. Her eyes were as deep as water, and no emotion could be seen in them. As expected. "Jade Fairy, you don't understand me at all." Ling Longzi seemed to have changed into a different person. He grinned, but his smile was extremely miserable. "If I can't get it, no one else can. Also, how can I be willing to kill you? All right then, let him go and I'll kill myself. There must be one person between the two of us who wants to die here. I'm not your opponent, that's how it should be." Jade Fairy raised her eyebrows when she heard this. She extended her hand and a purple thin sword appeared in her hand. The blade moved and it was placed on her snow-white neck. "That won't do." Ling Longzi raised his eyebrows when he saw this. He extended his other hand in a lightning-like manner. 2 gusts of wind swept past and the purple thin sword had already landed on the ground. The 2 finger marks on the hilt of the sword were clearly visible. "Don't worry, I will kill myself if I kill him. I have nothing to do with the matters of the heavenly official sect." As he spoke, Ling Longzi suddenly grinned, revealing his white teeth. "As long as you live well, that's all. You, what do you want to do?" Jade Fairy was shocked when she heard him. She looked at the young man in front of her and her eyes were filled with disbelief. "Because I can't bear to see you die." Ling Longzi's expression became calm. He took a deep look at Jade Fairy. A trace of madness flashed across his eyes. He said softly, "Now, I will let you see how he died." Boom! As soon as his voice faded, Ling Longzi's 5 fingers suddenly pressed down. The light below circulated and was about to kill Xiao Yan. Swoosh! Just as the origin chi within his body was about to surge, threads of black flames suddenly started burning in the surrounding air. After which, they suddenly increased in size. In an instant, they had already wrapped around Ling Longzi. The black flames were like maggots attached to bones, and as the surrounding air crazily surged, they completely started burning. One wang, golden light radiated from Ling Longzi's body as countless origin chis rose into the air. However, the black flames on the surface of his body continued to grow endlessly. As the surrounding air surged at a high speed, the burning became even more intense. Ling Longzi's expression was slightly distorted. The black flames were corroding every inch of his skin. The originally vast and mighty origin chis actually felt like they were being swallowed up. "This is Xiao Yan's technique?" In the distance, Jade Fairy was also slightly startled. Immediately, her pretty eyes moved. She looked at the layers of light in the distance, which were pressing down on her. Endless chaotic streams and wild howls were emitted. Xiao Yan's figure was submerged within it, and his aura was extremely weak. Swoosh! Golden light surged violently. Ling Longzi could only feel an endless burning sensation coming from every inch of his skin. Even the light from the word, Yang, was unable to expel this pain. Under the suppression of the endless origin chi, although the black flames had a slight change, the effect was minimal. It was likely that his origin chis would be completely exhausted before he could completely suppress it. Boom! Without Ling Longzi's deliberate suppression, the power of the Great Sun heavenly skill would also be greatly reduced. The 3 monarch flames finally displayed their strongest strength. The crimson gold flame soared into the sky and directly swept away the endless turbulent flow above his head. Xiao Yan jumped out from within. The origin chi in his body was empty. His legs went soft and he almost fell to the ground. Xiao Yan! Jade Fairy's heart moved when she saw Xiao Yan appear. However, she forcefully stopped the thought of going forward. Her current position forced her to suppress this idea in her heart. Cough. Xiao Yan's face was pale. He could barely hold the blue flame ruler in his hand. The all-embracing nether flame was not easy to control. It was only under the long-term suppression of the 3 types of monarch flames that he was able to control a trace of it. After it spread into the air, it was directly out of Xiao Yan's control. However, that kind of damage to his body had greatly exceeded his expectations. Buzz. On the huge, Yang character, a myriad of rays of light formed a huge light screen that completely wrapped around the few of them. Countless rays of light scattered in all directions, forming a dazzling bright world. Ling Longzi's entire body was covered by the black flames. He roared out in pain, as if thousands of ants were devouring him. His skin was about to melt. Xiao Yan stared intently at Ling Longzi. The origin monarch chi that was contained within Ling Longzi's body was vast and terrifying like a vast ocean wave. The all-embracing nether flame was unable to cause serious damage to him for a moment. Crack crack! Ling Longzi's expression was ferocious. His entire body was trembling. The golden origin chi whistled. His life force was suppressing the burning of the black flame. Although he had the support of the Yang character, he could still feel the origin chi flowing out of his body at a crazy rate. Jade Fairy, long time no see. Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, Xiao Yan looked at Jade Fairy. He chuckled. When Jade Fairy heard him, her body trembled. She looked at Xiao Yan in panic, then lowered her head. Although her expression was calm, there was a trace of panic in her voice. Are you all right? How are your injuries? She took a deep look at Jade Fairy. Xiao Yan was about to speak, but he responded with a violent cough. Blood sprayed out, and he became much more dispirited. This thing is even harder to operate than fire lotuses. Looking at the Ling Longzi's burning on Ling Longzi's body, Xiao Yan couldn't help but grit his teeth. The origin chi in his body was becoming more and more scarce. A wave of darkness spread out in front of him, and it wasn't much easier for him than Ling Longzi. He didn't even have the strength to attack. Seeing Xiao Yan spit out blood again, Jade Fairy felt even more conflicted in her heart. Her mind was in chaos. This was the battle between Xiao Yan and Ling Longzi. The latter took the initiative to attack again. Neither of the 2 major powers tried to stop him. That could only be considered an ordinary exchange of pointers. If she were to help Xiao Yan, the nature of the battle would be different. It would be the same as the 2 of them working together to deal with Ling Longzi. That would be truly going against the rules set by Sacred Lord Yin Yang. Wang! The black flame burned wildly. Ling Longzi roared in a low voice. The golden origin chi was no longer as majestic as before. For the first time, a sense of weakness surged within his body. Even though he had the ability to reach the heavens, he could do nothing against the all-embracing nether flame. Xiao Yan felt dizzy and almost could not stand stably. While the all-embracing nether flame caused damage to Ling Longzi, it also continuously ravaged his body. This was a confrontation between the 2 wills. Both Ling Longzi and Xiao Yan had extremely powerful wills. This battle without any smoke had become even more dangerous. If Ling Longzi displayed his true strength, he would definitely be far stronger than an ordinary monarch cultivation, but he had yet to grasp the monarch cultivation realm. Otherwise, just by relying on the superficial knowledge of space from the monarch cultivation sovereign, he would be able to separate the all-embracing nether flame from his body and easily neutralize this seemingly unsolvable attack. What happened inside? The surrounding people were bewildered. Many of them were secretly using the secret arts. They looked at the bright world with their eye technique, but what they saw was still a dazzling golden color. It was impossible to see through it. Even the monarch cultivation sovereign could only sigh secretly. I never thought that Ling Longzi, who had communicated with the Yang character, would be so powerful that he directly affected the chi of the entire mountain peak. Chang Yi raised his head and exclaimed in his heart. The people of Heavenly Gan sect had comprehended the word Yang first. They had undoubtedly gained a greater assurance in the competition between the 2 major powers in Heaven Divine Mountain in the future. After this battle, everyone in the world knows that Ling Longzi has emerged from the Heavenly Gan sect. This is a good thing for the Heavenly Gan sect. If he can kill Jade Fairy, that layer of inner demon will be removed, and it will bring unimaginable benefits to the future growth of their strength. Lu Junyuan thought to himself. He could also see the affection Ling Longzi had for Jade Fairy. However, This kind of love that could not be tolerated by the heaven and earth was destined to have no result. In the great light world, the two of them were in a deadlock. Jade Fairy stood in the distance. Her beautiful eyes swept across Xiaoyan's body from time to time. Her eyes were filled with worry that couldn't be erased. Xiaoyan's face turned paler and paler. Compared to Ling Longzi, his origin qi was too weak. If it wasn't for the support of the origin qi, he would have fallen to the ground a long time ago. Puff! Another mouthful of blood was spat out. Xiaoyan shook his dizzy head and couldn't help but laugh bitterly in his heart. The heavenly dry sex Yang scroll was indeed incomparably tyrannical. In front of Ling Longzi, the origin qi in his body was even more abundant than the real monarch cultivation sovereign. If this deadlock continued, the one who would be at a disadvantage would be himself. Xiaoyan, I will treat your injuries, but you have to promise me that you won't kill him. Jade Fairy sighed lightly. Her figure moved slightly and she came to Xiaoyan's side. She looked into Xiaoyan's eyes with deep affection. Her eyes were full of tenderness. Why? If I don't kill him, he will kill you. Xiaoyan was stunned. His nose moved slightly and Jade Fairy's body fragrance was faintly discernible. It made people feel relaxed and relaxed. This is a battle between saints. It is a battle between dead people. What you are doing now is a violation of the rules. Jade Fairy gritted her teeth and could not help but say, rules? If you want to talk about violating it, it is also the Heavenly Gon sect who violated it first. Xiaoyan frowned, then gritted his teeth and said, are you saying that you are the one who wants to die? His strength is far greater than mine. You have seen it too. It's normal for me to be defeated. Jade Fairy lowered her eyes as if she had accepted her fate. She whispered to herself, you. Xiaoyan's heart felt stifled. Just as he was about to speak, Jade Fairy suddenly raised her head and looked directly into Xiaoyan's eyes. Her eyes were like water and her lips slightly parted. You have to know that there are so many people outside waiting for either me or him to die. Only then can they get what they want. After a pause, the corner of Jade Fairy's mouth slightly raised. A charming smile appeared on her face. I know that your strength has increased a lot, but I can't do anything to Ling Longzi. So, I can only die. If I die, they will fight for the right to enter the Heaven Divine Mountain. If you don't have time to find trouble with me, you can find an opportunity. Let's leave this place. Quote, 2 inches and then you were willing to die? Xiaoyan gritted his teeth and sneered. Jade Fairy's tone was calm. As if she had said something that had nothing to do with her, Xiaoyan's heart was inexplicably irritable. His tone could not help but turn cold. Xiaoyan, I know your temper. When you fought Yin Juxuan, I knew that you weren't the kind of person to submit to the current situation. However, you can't do as you wish here. Jade Fairy's beautiful white teeth brushed against the hair on her forehead. She seemed to have seen through Xiaoyan's heart. She spoke softly, and a trace of a smile emerged on her face. If I was really afraid, why would I attack? The corner of Xiaoyan's mouth raised slightly. Looking at Jade Fairy's charming face in front of him, he let out a light sigh and his voice was solemn. The people of the Heavenly Gon sect broke the rules first. You saved me, so they won't say anything, but that's all. Brother Xiaoyan, listen to me. I've cured you. You have to leave, okay? Jade Fairy's red lips moved and revealed a bitter smile. She looked at Xiaoyan with a pleading look in her eyes. No need. Since you know my character, you should know that I won't leave just like that. Xiaoyan's eyes were deep as he stared at Jade Fairy with a smile and shook his head, causing the latter to be stunned. Besides, this is Heaven Divine Mountain. With the Deacon sect and Heavenly Gon sect's influence, if they really want to kill me, they will have plenty of chances. He glanced at Jade Fairy. Xiaoyan pursed his lips. In the end, he did not say what he was thinking. This was the reason why he did not use the Fire Lotus. Xiaoyan, Jade Fairy's expression dimmed slightly. Her heart was rather complicated. Back in the profound Yin castle, although Xiaoyan was high-spirited, her strength was far superior to his. Now, the latter obviously had the ability that she didn't have. Logically speaking, she wouldn't be qualified to ask him to do anything no matter what. Pooh! While Jade Fairy was silent, Xiaoyan's face suddenly turned deathly pale. Another mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. Both of his legs became weak and he nearly could not stand up. He had to use the blue flame ruler to support himself so that he would not fall. Jade Fairy turned pale with fright. She was just about to open her mouth when another loud bang sounded in the distance. Ling Longzi was kneeling on one knee and his head was lowered. His knee smashed open a clear crack on the ground. Phew. Hu. Ling Longzi gasped for breath. Every inch of his skin was spasming. The black flames around his body were finally swallowed by him using the origin cheese, even though he had exhausted all the origin cheese in his body. Buzz. Under his feet, the huge, Yang character was still surging with an incomparably vast brilliance. It continuously poured into Ling Longzi's body, healing the latter's wound. Ling Longzi, who had linked the Yang character, was basically invincible in this place. This was the true horror of the Yin and Yang scroll. Xiao Yan wiped the blood at the corner of his mouth. Although the injuries on the surface of his body had been completely healed, the injuries that he had suffered within a short period of time were unable to heal. The sequelae of using the all-embracing nether flame were spreading across his entire body intensely, causing a heart-piercing pain. Hurry up and leave. Jade Fairy turned her head in panic. She could clearly feel that Ling Longzi's qi was more than a level stronger than the Xiao Yan in front of her. Xiao Yan stared at Ling Longzi and turned a deaf ear to Jade Fairy's words. The Ling Longzi in front of him gave him the feeling that he had merged with the word Yang and the origin qi. This feeling was extremely strong, but it felt like it was missing a trace of imperfection. Ling Longzi stood up. The injuries on his body had already recovered, and the burning power of the all-embracing nether flame had completely disappeared. This monster, how could he not be injured at all? The Xiaoao's voice resounded in Xiao Yan's mind. He was extremely familiar with the power of the all-embracing nether flame. Something that even the monarch cultivation sovereign could not do anything about was actually not reflected in Ling Longzi's body at all. It's normal. This is the dojo of Sacred Lord Yin Yang. Ling Longzi has already obtained the inheritance of Yang. Xiao Yan took a deep breath. With the combination of Yin and Yang and the origin qi, he could feel it even more clearly. Ling Longzi, your opponent is me. You can do whatever you want. Just let Xiao Yan go. Seeing Xiao Yan not saying a word, Jade Fairy was angry and anxious. She looked at Ling Longzi, who was also silent in the distance, and hurriedly said. Xiao Yan's expression changed. Just as he was about to speak, Ling Longzi suddenly raised his head from afar. His cold eyes swept across Xiao Yan and then looked at Jade Fairy. A rare trace of warmth flashed across his cold face. Jade Fairy, I told you that I won't attack you. Ling Longzi stood up and looked at the dazzling great light world. He paused for a moment, then looked at Xiao Yan and said emotionlessly. Great Yang heavenly skill is the strongest secret arts in the Yang scroll. I thought I could easily kill you. No matter what method you used, the first time the Great Yang heavenly skill was used, I was the one who lost without drinking any blood. A fiery look suddenly appeared in Ling Longzi's eyes. Xiao Yan, your origin qi is unusual. Upon hearing this, Xiao Yan frowned and did not say anything. It was likely that Ling Longzi had also realized that the origin qi, which had merged with his yin and yang, had a suppressive effect on him. I've said it before. If I lose, I'll kill myself. Ling Longzi's expression was indifferent. The words that he said caused Jade Fairy's heart to be startled. Xiao Yan's face also revealed a trace of shock. He looked at the Yang character under Ling Longzi's feet and seemed to be lost in thought. Jade Fairy, after I die, I will have to trouble you with one thing. As he spoke, Ling Longzi looked at Jade Fairy. His eyes were filled with endless tenderness. What? Jade Fairy was stunned and subconsciously opened her mouth to speak. After my death, the secret arts that I have been cultivating for my entire life will turn into a wisp of soul essence. I hope you can put it in the word, Yang, to accompany me in my eternal sleep. Ling Longzi was so calm that it caused people to feel a trace of fear. His tone was neither fast nor slow, and his expression had returned to normal. Why did you commit suicide? What are you thinking? What kind of conspiracy is this? Jade Fairy suddenly reacted and said in disbelief. Why? I discovered my own flaws in my battle with him. This is the reason. As for the Heavenly Spirit sect, I didn't recognize it as my sect from the very beginning. I am a chess piece. In my eyes, it is nothing. It is the right to enter the Heaven Divine Mountain. I don't care at all. Ling Longzi's expression was cold. He glanced at Jade Fairy and the tenderness disappeared in an instant. I care. Only you. You can only live if I die. Give up your heart. If this is your reason, Why don't I kill myself? Jade Fairy was expressionless and there was no emotion in her eyes. That won't do. Ling Longzi snorted lightly. He stretched out one hand and raised his palm. Jade Fairy's face turned pale and she almost fell to the ground. Jade Fairy, fulfill my last wish. Also, Xiao Yan, just you wait. Finally, one day, before he finished his words, a golden light flashed in Ling Longzi's eyes. Endless origin cheese gushed out from the top of his skull and turned into golden light that filled the sky. The former's body also turned into golden light and disappeared without a trace of qi. Body transforming into yin and yang. Jade Fairy widened her eyes when she saw this scene. She looked at Ling Longzi's gradually disappearing figure and opened her mouth, not knowing what to say. Xiao Yan's eyes were solemn. Following Ling Longzi's disappearance, a soul that perfectly matched the word yang appeared above the word without any warning. It was as if it was the purest yang in the world, shining brightly. 3 inches. Why did you kill yourself all of a sudden? A trace of purple flame flashed across the blue flame ruler, and the Xiaoao appeared beside Xiao Yan. It looked in the direction where Ling Longzi was standing, and it was also stunned. Jade Fairy didn't have time to be shocked when she saw the Xiaoao. Her beautiful eyes looked over and saw that above the soul essence that Ling Longzi had transformed into, there was the purest yang energy. The huge word, yang, was surrounded by a golden light, as if it was cheering. His mastery of the yang scroll must have reached an unimaginable level. Xiao Yan said, although his understanding of the yin and yang scroll was not as good as Jade Fairy's, he had roughly mentioned the yin and yang scroll in the introduction of the Mingan divine domain that he had obtained from the Star Moon Island. The transformation of his body into yin and yang was a thorough grasp of it. If that's the case, why did he commit suicide? With his talent, after he truly comprehended the yang scroll, he would be able to become a giant. Jade Fairy mumbled. Ling Longzi had committed suicide. Her heart was filled with complicated emotions. She had never thought that things would develop to this stage. Xiao Yan raised his head slightly. There were strands of origin qi flowing in his palm. Looking closely, the origin qi seemed to be black and white. There was a mysterious feeling between the black and white origin qis. Gripping his fingers, Xiao Yan looked at Jade Fairy and said with a serious expression. The combination of yin and yang. Ling Longzi's idea should be related to yin. Jade Fairy was stunned. After hearing Xiao Yan's words, it was like a bolt of lightning had struck her mind. She instantly thought of something. That's right, the attribute of yang has already reached the limit. If you want to advance further, you need to link up yin and yang, and merge yin and yang together. Only then will you be able to truly reach major completion. Jade Fairy took a deep breath and then looked at the dazzling soul essence. She muttered to herself, he must have transformed into yin and yang in order to merge with the yang of Heaven Divine Mountain and comprehend the yin. Speaking of which, the name entering the Heaven Divine Mountain has a similar effect, but whether it's the result or the benefits, it's far beyond the name entering the Heaven Divine Mountain. Xiao Yan also understood a lot of things, and spoke in a soft voice. There was only one Ling Longzi in this world. He had comprehended the yang attribute of the yin and yang scroll. He had transformed into yin and yang to comprehend the yin attribute. If he could master it, he would be able to truly comprehend the realm of the sacred lord of yin and yang. The reason why the latter was the best in one era was because of his perfect grasp of yin and yang. Right now, Ling Longzi was recultivating the Tao of sacred lord yin yang. Xiao Yan, just you wait. One day, Ling Longzi's last words echoed in his mind. Xiao Yan was silent. He finally understood the meaning of these words. If the yin and yang merged together, Ling Longzi would definitely be reborn with the help of Heaven Divine Mountain. At that time, even if he wasn't as powerful as sacred Lord Yin Yang, he would eventually become the mark of an era. It wasn't you who was hateful, it was this clan. Jade Fairy's black hair draped over her shoulders as she slowly stepped forward. She carefully picked up a trace of Ling Longzi's soul essence and gently waved her hand. In an instant, the soul essence entered the huge, yang character below. It was as if there were ripples that appeared before it completely disappeared. Swoosh! The brilliance that filled the sky quickly dissipated. The great light world that was formed was also on the verge of collapse. Following the death of Ling Longzi, the huge, yang character also began to gradually dim. The entire brilliance seemed to be crying because of it. This is bad. Ling Longzi died for no reason. That old bastard Lu Junyuan won't let this matter rest easily. You have to leave as soon as possible. Jade Fairy came back to her senses and rushed towards Xiaoyan. She extended her delicate hand and grabbed Xiaoyan's hands without any explanation. A spiritual light appeared between her brows and started to treat Xiaoyan's injuries. A delicate fragrance assailed one's nostrils as she looked at Jade Fairy's pretty face from a close distance. She was like a wild rose that caused one's heart to palpitate. What about you? Xiaoyan calmed down and lowered his eyes as he said. Just like what Jade Fairy said, Ling Longzi's death would definitely cause a huge commotion. In everyone's eyes, Ling Longzi was undoubtedly stronger than Jade Fairy. Now that he had mysteriously fallen, anyone would find it strange. Me? What can they do to me? Even if they kill me, can Ling Longzi be resurrected? Jade Fairy smiled sweetly. With the help of the Yin Scroll's secret technique, she quickly healed the injuries in Xiaoyan's body. She was much faster than the situation that she was not familiar with. Swoosh! While the two of them were talking, a drop of golden blood suddenly rose from the word, Yang, and exploded in the air. In an instant, a vast aura spread across the entire mountain. In the depths of the Heaven Divine Mountain, there was even a trace of an ocean-like aura that soared into the sky. It was like a dormant ancient ferocious beast had suddenly awakened. Its aura swept across all the mountain peaks, giving off a feeling that it could crush all ages. This feeling is too great. A slot to enter the Heaven Divine Mountain. In an instant, countless people sensed this kind of aura. Many of the elders were so excited that tears were flowing down their cheeks. When this moment truly arrived, they still couldn't suppress the emotions in their hearts. It should be that kid from the Heavenly Gone sect who won. I just wonder how many levels of the quota can that little girl from the Deacon sect communicate with. In the depths of the Heaven Divine Mountain, it was as if the mountain was moving. Loud rumbling noises could be heard, and every sound was inspiring. Cheng Yi, our Heavenly Gone sect will take over the next ceremony. On top of the mountain, Lu Junyuan couldn't help but laugh out loud when he saw the light curtain gradually disappear. He was in a very good mood. The ceremony that only happened once every 5,000 years. It was a grand occasion for the great world. Countless heavenly treasures would be born because of this. At that time, the Heavenly Gone sect, which controlled the Heaven Divine Mountain, would be born. Without a doubt, it would be the one to reap the most benefits. On the Deacon sect's side, everyone had an ugly expression on their faces. Although they had already expected this outcome, they still found it hard to accept. Given Ling Longzi's character, Jade Fairy and that kid should be dead by now. Don't worry about them. No matter what, we just need to catch that kid who possesses a saint weapon. After giving out the order in a low voice, Cheng Yi had put all his attention on Shen Shuihui. If he could obtain that sacred weapon, it would be a pretty good ending. All right, next, it's time to compete for the discipleship of the Heaven Divine Mountain. He turned around and looked towards the direction of the depths of the Heaven Divine Mountain. The dense crowds of people had entered his eyes. The corner of Lu Junyuan's mouth curled up. This time, it was the most exciting part. Jade Fairy, the light dispersed and a beautiful woman walked out. When they saw her face clearly, everyone was stunned. In an instant, countless exclamations resounded across the sky. Jade Fairy was still alive. This meant that Ling Longzi had been killed. What? The Heavenly Spirit sect. On the other side, Lu Junyuan's eyes almost popped out as he stared at Jade Fairy. The latter's expression was calm as she looked at the surrounding crowd. Her body moved and she had already returned to the direction of the Deacon sect. Ignoring the similarly shocked gazes of Cheng Yi and the others, she minded her own business and entered the golden carriage pulled by the white Suan Ni. She was as noble as a saintess. Since the quota to enter the Heaven Divine Mountain has been opened, if Jade Fairy is still alive, Ling Longzi will definitely die. Everyone was shocked. The arrogant Ling Longzi just now had actually been defeated by Jade Fairy. What exactly had happened in the Great Light World? That brat is still here. The brilliance completely dissipated and Xiaoyan's figure was revealed. The latter's aura was stable and he didn't seem to be injured at all. He still turned a blind eye to the countless experts around him and was about to leave the place. Bastard! Stay here! Lu Junyuan's eyes turned red, and he roared furiously. The longsword on his back buzzed, and a huge hand ripped open the space and stretched out. It turned into a huge hand that covered the sky, and was about to crush Xiao Yan. Elder Lu, the quota to enter the Heaven Divine Mountain has already appeared. Don't let this big guy wait for too long. All of a sudden, the space trembled slightly. A giant hand suddenly stretched out. Its 5 fingers turned into a fist and shattered Lu Junyuan's attack. As soon as the words left his mouth, countless people echoed him and rushed towards the top of the mountain. To them, the life and death of the saint and the saint had nothing to do with them. The only thing they wanted was the quota to enter the Heaven Divine Mountain.